Excuse me for forgetting to invite you up, Amy. I'm a little emotionally attached to this one. A native of Pulaski, Virginia, Tom bought WSTP WRDX AM and FM radio stations in Salisbury with two partners dating back to 1956. With FCC approval, the three began operating the stations October 6, 1956. He bought out those partners in 1960 and served as president and general manager of WSTP WRDX until 1995, growing the station from 6 employees to 34 employees. In broadcasting, he also served as president and general manager of High Sonic Associate Sound Systems, contracted background music provider from 1957 to 1984. On the advisory board of WDAV radio station, on board of directors of the National Association of Broadcasters in Washington, D.C., as a board member of the Radio Board of Ethics, on the board of directors of the Radio Advertising Bureau in New York. He was on the board of governors of the Mutual Broadcasting System in New York and was a member of the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters. Locally, he served 5 terms on the Salisbury-Rowan Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, including 4 terms as Vice President for Development and Membership. Among the projects for the Chamber, he was co-chair for the then new Chamber Headquarters building on West End Street, for the Keppel Auditorium Hedrick Little Theater building at Catawba College, and for the Rowan Technical Institute, now Rowan Cabarrus Community College. Other local contributions include, he was a member of the Sales and Marketing Executives Club of Salisbury, serving as its president. He was guest lecturer in broadcast marketing for the business school at Catawba College. Founding member of the Salisbury Symphony Orchestra, serving on its board of directors, and founding member of Piedmont Players Theater, playing the male lead in its first production, Bell, Book, and Candle. He was a member of the Lions Club throughout his broadcasting career, a member of the Rotary International, a member of the Salisbury Planning Board, and a member of the Rowan County Planning Board, serving as chairman. He was also a member of the board of directors of F&M Bank. He was a lifelong Presbyterian and deacon and chair of the deacons at Franklin Presbyterian Church in Salisbury, later continuing as a member of First Presbyterian Church in Salisbury. Was co-founder of the Rowan County Presbyterian Men's Association, an association of 11 Presbyterian churches actively meeting from 1982 to 2000, combining traditionally black and traditionally white churches of the denomination county-wide. He assisted with the establishment in 1995 of the nonprofit status of Richard's Coffee Shop in Mooresville to preserve its continuation as a veterans coffee shop and a military museum. 2014, with veteran Thelma Lucky, he co-founded the weekly Frontier Coffee Shop for veterans here in Salisbury. He was a supporter and volunteer at the Price Freedom Museum in Salisbury, and in November of 1917, Tom was awarded North Carolina's highest civilian honor, the Order of the Longleaf Pine. And in April 2019, he was inducted into the North Carolina Military Veterans Hall of Fame for his many efforts in support of veterans. He was a veteran himself. Tom served in World War II, enlisting at 17 years old. He served in the U.S. Army Air Corps, 5th Ferry Command Headquarters, Love Field, Texas. Then was sent overseas to Headquarters India-China Wing, Air Transport Command, Karachi, India. He became a radio operator, and over the course of World War II, he flew 103 missions to 43 countries on 5 continents. He returned home after the war ended at the age of 21, where he enrolled at the University of Virginia in 1946. We lost Tom just 1 year ago on August 29th at the age of 98. I'll throw in a personal note too. Tom, I had the pleasure of working for Tom for many years. He was a visionary. We didn't always appreciate being called into his office for him to tell us something he had read. Doug Rice and I were sitting around PRN one day. We went, all this time that Tom called us into his office to tell us about something that was going to happen in the future. I'll be danged if he wasn't right. Just about every single time. The man read a lot, he was a visionary. Ladies and gentlemen, for posthumous induction into the Salisbury Rowan Sports Hall of Fame as the Billings Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, Thomas D. Harrell, Jr.
I'm very honored to be able to accept this award on behalf of my dad. And he's at home with the Lord. Be there a year and 19 days from now. I'm probably not going to do it justice. My dad is a much better accomplished speaker than I am. But I do want to say congratulations to everyone who's been honored here today. You've worked hard. You've done something that hopefully that you love, that you strive to excel at, and you've done it for a long time. So it's really rewarding. I think my dad would say when people notice, and sometimes it's a long time of doing something that you love and working at it hard, and then one day you look up and other people notice, and that's really just a privilege to have your hard work noticed and rewarded. I also want to thank the nominating committee for considering my dad. I want to thank some of my dad's favorite people for being here. So I'm really the last on my father's side of the family. We've got some distant cousins. But everyone else that got me preceded him in passing. But with me today are some of his favorite people: Carl Hales, Mike Caskey, and Susie McIntosh Henson, and my husband Kelly Williams. And I'm grateful for them to be here to be his family. My dad had a sign on his desk in his office that said, "You can't do business from an empty wagon." But he always thought of that in terms of being in broadcasting, being in radio. What do you have? How can you offer people value? You have your customers who are coming to promote themselves on your station. How can you help them promote their business? How can you help them solve a problem? How can you help serve the community and their customers? And he was really oriented that way. He would come home late and he would open his briefcase and his comment about talking about something he'd read. I remember my dad sitting at night with his briefcase going through papers, reading trade journals for his own trade, but also for the trades of his customers. How can he help the car dealers who are advertising with him, or the dry cleaner, or the drugstore, who else, whoever it may be. He just wanted people to see some value for what they were doing in the community, and radio was a way he thought to do that, to help meet a need. You think about it in terms of the era with my dad and broadcasting radio and supporting local games and airing them on the radio was the way people connected in real time. We didn't have Facebook Live, we didn't have YouTube live stream. Radio was the way you got to hear your grandchildren's game if you couldn't get there, or the parent who was having to work second shift or work a second job. They could hear those games by tuning into the radio station, and so he was very pleased to be the radio station that aired those local games for the high schools and for Catawba College and other schools. I know I'm not naming everybody, I couldn't possibly. He wanted to be excellent. He wanted his business to be excellent. He wanted his people to be proud of where they were, and he promoted them and striving to be excellent. I think he didn't expect perfection, but he didn't think that was any reason not to aim for it. He was blessed with some great people who worked for him, and then the list could go on, and some of them are actually inductees on the list here. There's Lieutenant Howard Platt, who is a huge blessing to the community here in Rowan County with his sportscasting. My dad was, from the beginning, involved in the National Sportscasters and Sports Writers Association, the Hall of Fame there. I actually found the very first program among some of his papers not long ago. So he was heavily involved in that. And I think it's a huge honor that he is receiving this award named after Horace Billings. He knew and respected Horace. They were pretty much in a way contemporaries of Horace being a newspaper and my dad in radio. I knew Horace. My mother was a writer and a section editor for the Salisbury Post. And so I grew up in the newsroom, and I remember Horace and getting to visit with him when I would hang out with my mom after school. She would pick me up, and I would come and sit by her desk or go back into the copy room and things like that, and stay out of trouble. But I remember Horace. And I think it would be probably a surprise to both of them for my dad to be honored with this. And my dad would be humble, and he would be pleased, and he'd be very moved. And I actually think maybe Horace would be too. Horace, I think, knew that life turned out in surprising ways sometimes, because if I recall the story, he ended up somehow with a calf in the back seat of his car that he had accidentally bid on and didn't expect to get it at the auction, but he was the high bidder. So, things don't always turn out the way you think in life, as Horace would probably say, and you know it. So, thank you so much.